Mhm. Okay, lady, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Hello, hello, hello. My name is MP Sudeth, and I am the owner of Empowering Legacy Publishing, where we are here today with author Sugar with our book chat about her latest release of Encore. So, before we get into the details of Encore and the storytelling that you do, I have a few questions for you, Sugar.
Okay, let's get it.
Okay, coffee or tea?
T.
Okay, favorite book of all time?
Sugar by Bernice McFadden.
Okay, so if you could collaborate with any author out there, who would it be?
Oh, I have to say Zane.
Okay, okay, I can see that. I can see that. Okay, do you believe in writer's block?
Yes, unfortunately.
Okay, what is your guilty pleasure?
Cotton candy.
Cotton candy.
Mhm.
Okay, are you a morning writer or a night owl?
Night owl. Every
Okay,
day.
if you could live in any fictional world, what would it be?
Mm, that's a good question. I'm going to say um the fictional world of Zane's Hot Box.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, so let me ask you this. And this is right up my alley. Zombie apocalypse or alien invasion?
Alien invasion.
Okay. Okay, so if you could have anybody play you in a movie, who would it be?
Um, Amber Riley.
Okay. Okay. So if you try time travel, would you do past or future?
Past.
Past. All right. And last question for you. If you could be friends with your protagonist, would you?
No.
Hey, well, maybe we'll get some insight into why in our discussion in the book chat.
No.
Okay, Sugar. So, I am super excited to have you on. The book Encore is absolutely amazing.
Well,
And so,
thank you.
before we really get into what it is about, could you please just share a little bit about yourself and your journey as an author?
Well, I have been writing fiction since 2007. That book was called Have You Got Good Religion? So, long story short, I was such a church girl, and I wanted other people to feel what I feel, see what I see when I went to church. And I wrote a book about it, long story short. And it ended up being very, very short, very, very clean. And unfortunately, a lot of publishers did not want to ride with it because they couldn't market it. It was too saved. So
Okay.
I went ahead and I published it myself in 2015. Now that's a long gap between the two. And believe it or not, there was no writing done between 2007 to 2015. But once the bug hit of the publishing, the book started coming. So after that, I was fortunate enough to be on the roster of Unique Creations Publications, and I finished my contract with them with 3 books. So that's 4 there. And this is the 5th book to be released on Major Key Publishing. Shout out to them. Thank you for the chance. And that's where we are now. So I've been writing a while. All of the books are different. I never wanted to be considered as a one genre author. I just wanted to write different stuff and get good at different things. So none of them are the same. The only thing that is the same, unfortunately, is somebody died. Somebody got to get shot. Somebody got to get stabbed. We always trying to figure out who killed who because I'd rather kill them than kiss them. So that's what's been going on for the last few years. So that's where the fiction writing started.
Got it. Okay. So, yes, somebody gotta die. And
Somebody got
somebody
to die.
absolutely did in Encore. And this book is centered around that particular death. So, could you give us a little synopsis of what Encore is about?
So long story short, there was a young lady in the book. She wasn't very old. She was only 17 and she was considered as a runaway from the South to the North in 1993. And she ended up in love with a pimp and unfortunately he killed her. It was an accident. It was not intentional. And he grieved her. You can tell that it was an accident after it was done, but she was still gone either way. And so, moving forward, the solving of the crime takes place 30 years later. Even though someone was doing time for her death, um, they had to go back and redo some things. They noticed some facts were not lining up. And so the district attorney's office in Ohio, where she was found, decided to reopen the case with the help of a judge. Actually, it's the other way around. The judge wanted it opened, and he enlisted the district attorney to help investigate. And they investigated a crime, and the perpetrator, unfortunately, was the father of the investigator, and he had no idea. So it kind of dwindles down to the actual court of the murder, the original murder. They had to throw all the other stuff out and start fresh. So that's what it was about, pretty much.
Got it. Okay. So this book was very specific in how things were laid out. What inspired you to write this story?
Well, in 1993, in Columbia, Mississippi, there was a young lady that was found naked and dead at a primary school. A class of third graders found her, and I was a part of that third grade class. I found her first thing Monday morning, and you would think that would really, really, really bother me, but I had an amazing support team. My mom, and the teacher came together and was like, "Nope, it's not going to affect you. We're going to do this. We're going to talk about that. We're just going to act like it didn't happen at first." And so, to be honest with you, it never even crossed my mind again until after high school. And so, once it did, the thing that bothered me was nobody claimed this young lady. Um, we knew who she was as far as name, but we did not know who she was as far as who she belonged to. Nobody really stepped forward to claim her for whatever reason, for whatever safety reason. Names of her parents were kind of kept out of the loop, and that bothered me. And I needed for somebody to claim her, so I claimed her. I just changed her story a bit and made sure that, I guess, in my brain, I wanted her to know that, we claim you. The third grade class, we make sure that there was some form of justice delivered. Gratefully, the person that did kill her is behind bars. They arrested and charged him in 2012. He was sentenced to prison for the rest of his life. But that's a really big gap between 93 and 2012. So
Mm,
that's how all of this actually started. I kind of wanted to tell the little girl in me, you did a good job by, keeping her memory alive and taking care of her. But I also wanted to tell her, um, we remember you.
yeah, that's a nice way to tribute, a
Thank you.
tragic situation. Okay, but your talent and your gift in writing characters is awesome because you can relate to them. You know somebody that's just like them, and you can really envision who they are. So I just want to take a moment to read just a portion that just gave me pleasure in seeing your character. Now, this is a piece from when one of your characters, Weston, who is the attorney you're talking about,
Mhm.
meets Judge Hobbs. Okay, so this is a little bit of Judge Hobbs. He says, "Now, I'm not a begging man. I usually let the money talk for me. It has had a reputation of getting what it wants, if you catch my drift. but I will beg if I have to. You need to see this through, Weston, the judge said as he swirled the rum in his glass with one eye on Weston and the other one closed. Weston couldn't help but smile. So that right there, like the judge was one of my just favorite character because he was true to his nature of being a Texan. You
Mm-hmm.
heard it, you saw it, and then he was really a good guy, and I
He
like
was.
good. So yeah, the judge, that was just a pleasurable part of the story without giving too much. But I want to take a deeper dive
Okay.
into characters. So I'll start by asking you, which character was your favorite character to write?
My favorite character to write. Okay, I have to split this into two because my favorite character to write was Judge Hobbs for several reasons.
Okay.
Mostly because I'm Southern and there's nobody else in this book that's Southern except for Judge Hobbs for the most part. And writing him was like a warm hug. It was like a familiar friend. So I enjoyed writing Hobbs. Plus, Judge Hobbs' name came from my pet rabbit. My pet rabbit's name is Hobby. And when I get mad, what I call her Hobbs. So that's where it came from. But Hobbs was a breath of fresh southern sweet tea. He just
Okay.
he was just syrupy sweet. He
Yeah.
knew what he wanted. He knew how to get it. He was professional, but it was in his own way, and it was just a good hug. Now, the other person I liked to write was Cadence.
Yeah.
Cadence was the epitome of a free woman
Yeah.
without boundaries, without strongholds, without opinions. She just was Cadence and made no apologies for it. And I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, she was definitely unapologetic and she went after what she wanted and she had some well-off acquaintances. One of her acquaintances that another favorite character of mine in the story was Landry. How did you come up with that name for,
Landry.
yeah,
Landry, actually, that is the last name of a very popular, very famous alligator hunter in Louisiana. In Pierre Part. And his name is Troy Landry, and he has sons that goes hunting with him. And his attitude actually could be akin to Judge Hobbs, the larger than life countryness, and he's on the boat singing while he's hunting alligators. And he's the guy that I would love to meet before I leave this earth. And I don't know if I can because he hunt alligators. I'm not gonna go see him, not at his job. Because I'm too fat. I can't run. So I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna meet him, but it won't be at his place of business. So I wanted to go ahead and pay tribute to him, and that's where Landry came from.
okay, that's awesome. Now, your book is a web of interconnections. Like someone is connected to someone who's connected to someone who's connected back to the other. Like it is crazy how you structured all of that. But in that web, um, if there was one character that you could sit down and have dinner with, who would it be and why?
Mm.
And I'm gonna tell you mine. I want to hear yours though.
Oh, I would have to say Henrietta. Oh, no, Harriet. Harriet
Okay, yeah, Richard.
Richards.
Uh-huh.
I'm in my head. Her name's Miss Richards. I don't even remember her first name.
Right.
Miss Richards. I would love to sit down and have dinner with her because number one, she's a fountain of information as far
Uh-huh.
as the way things were and the way things are. Also, she has a grace about herself, but she also has this jazz about herself, this sassiness. And I want
Yeah.
all of that to rub off on me because I walk like I told a gun, you know? And I
Uh-huh.
need that ladylikeness that I know what I'm doing. The baby, this is how you work a room. I would love to just have dinner with her to get some of that on me.
Yeah. I think we were both kind of thinking of the same thing, but we chose different people. I would love to have dinner with Marjorie.
Girl,
Marjorie, Marjorie is sassy too.
She
You know,
is.
with a lot of edge with it. And for the same reason, like she is just a no nonsense. This is what it is. You know, when her son Hendrix played tribute to her and he was playing the blues music and talking about bitter and talking about this image with the cigarette hanging out of her mouth and how she used to be. Marjorie was a good time. Like she'll tell you what you need to know, but she was definitely a good time.
She
So
was.
I would love to just sit down and hang out with Marjorie.
I could definitely see that. I could see that. That's a good matchup as far as you being so into an intellectual conversation. And she come out with a cigarette in a glass, like, girl, let me tell you. So I would love to have that. Oh, that is an amazing mashup.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so even though this book, you know, it had some great characters, but it had some serious situations. Was there any research that had to be done for this book?
Oh, there was a lot. There was a lot of research from, and I know that we're more into the serious part, but from um the restaurants, the shopping centers. I have never been to Ohio, but I wanted it to feel authentic to the state. So I had to do a lot of research as far as streets and street names rather, and community names that I had to do a lot of research there, but also for anybody that's read the prologue, they know that the young lady passed away from autoerotic asphyxiation. And I had to do a lot of research on it as well because that was a very popular thing when I was in high school. But I've been out of high school a couple of years now. I'm not the spring chicken no more, and I didn't even know if that was still a thing. But unfortunately, over 5,000 young people die from that situation per year. And so I wanted to bring awareness to that. So I did a lot of research on that as well because I mean, we all pray for our children to be safe wherever they go, and yet they are, happily get into danger for a high. And I need for parents to know that this is still a big thing. It is still a big worry. So there was research from the beginning to the end. I don't know a lot about the law. I mean, I know what Dateline tells me.
Right.
And Law and Order SVU, I know what they tell me, but I actually had to have a meeting with the district attorney of my city just to
Okay.
get some effects, some information. I just needed to know, some of the stuff. So shout out to District Attorney Hal Cottrell. Thank you so much for talking to me because it's a lot of things that I just didn't know. So this book took me on a journey personally, because there's just a lot I didn't know that I wanted in the book. So
Got it.
yeah, a lot of research happened.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so was there any part of the book that you found challenging to write, or was just tough to get through that part of the book?
All of the adult situations that happened
Okay.
in this book was hard for me to write simply because, well, for actually two reasons. Reason number one is I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and there's a lot about that disease that I did not know about. And I was always taught as a child, if you can't feel it, nobody else can feel it. And when you see you there singing a song and nobody else can feel what you feel. So, have it where it's emotions that can be felt across the board and not just to the reader. And so when
Yeah.
you come to these adult situations, I needed to write it so perfectly that I felt it. And when I felt it, it came with pain. So with every single adult scene in this book came some BC powder and a Coke because I hurt a lot trying to get this done. So yeah, that was uncomfortable. Plus, I live with my mama and writing a sex scene in your mama's house, it's very tumultuous.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. I don't like it a bit. So there were a lot of times there was some liquor involved to try to calm my nerves down so I can get this scene written. So that was uncomfortable. Now you the murder scenes or whatnot, that's not a problem for me. Not a
Okay.
problem. I can kill them, but I can't kill them. It's something about them. I just can't do it. So um that was it. Those were the only uncomfortable parts. So I think I did pretty good trying to explain and make it hyped enough so everybody else can feel.
Definitely did. It was definitely very descriptive and colorful.
I tried. I tried to make sure that my education kicked in and I started describing everything to the point where it wasn't rushed. I didn't want the scenes to be rushed because
Okay,
there's no point in having that kind of scene if you're gonna rush right through it.
true.
So plus this was my first time writing those type of scenes. So
Uh-huh.
there was a lot of nervousness going into it because I never done it before.
Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. Okay, so who should pick up this book? Who will be the ideal reader for this particular book?
Any female between the ages 19 and 70.
Okay.
And I say that because it had such a range of people in it. I think the youngest person was unfortunately the victim, and she was 17. So I wanted people, old enough to understand and appreciate the situations that are in it. Because at 18, 17, 16, if you understand this, you are too grown for your age. You need a
Right.
Barbie doll and a juice box because you missing some of your childhood. I just don't want to put that on you. Now if you're over the age of 19 and you done the college thing, you understand exactly where this is going and where it leads. So you can read it. But if you cannot buy a cigarette, you cannot buy my book.
Right. Yes, it needs a rated R slap right on the cover.
I swear.
But it's still enjoyable because you give so much to this book. Like you give, the professionals in the most authentic piece. You give complexity of characters. Nobody's perfect. You show their human nature so well in the book. And so I do feel like even if someone wasn't just gung-ho about those, explicit scenes, it's still an awesome plot
Well,
and
dang.
subplots.
It is.
And subplot. And I don't want to give too much, so I'm trying to like say, well, don't ask that. Because listen, you need a cigarette after
You
you
do.
read the book.
You
It is
do.
an emotional roller coaster ride. You find yourself just zipping through trying to get to what's about to happen. So So, why are we here? Like, tell me what separates Encore from the rest of the books? You said this was your first book like this. Why
Mm.
did you write it in this way?
Well, I wanted to show the maturity of the work.
Okay.
Oftentimes writers get stuck in a rut because this is what sells, this is what the audience want. And I never wanted to be an audience pleaser, which is weird because you're an author, you're writing for them.
Uh-huh.
But in my personal opinion, I write for me because if I don't feel it, I ain't gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
So I don't want to read the same sweet situations over and over and over again. So I wanted to show maturity not only in wordplay, but in
Uh-huh.
life itself. Because when I wrote the very first book, I was 23. I'll be 40 Friday. There's got to be some maturity in the way situations are handled, and the way you speak to people, and the way you allow people to speak to you. There has to be a big difference between this and that. And so this is why this book is so much more explicit compared to literally the book before it. Because I need for people to see that I'm not that sweet little, because
Mhm.
my name, sugar, it is sweet, it is addictive, it is looked after, um really, especially in the South, after every meal you eat a little something sweet, but
Right.
but sugar will kill you.
Yeah.
And I needed to get to that portion of it because diabetes is, they call it a silent killer, because 9 times out of 10 you don't know if you got it unless you're actively checking. And it will slip you right into a coma, and it'll slip you right on to glory, and you had no idea. So I needed to show both sides of the coin with sugar. So I'm more into the I kill you phase than the attractive sweet phase.
I got you. That's good. I like the way you put that because initially you only think of the good phase when you think of,
Mm.
unless you've grown up and you've been through some things and you're like, well, sugar ain't all it's. So I definitely get that. Okay, so how do you identify yourself as an author? Do you identify with one particular genre?
I want to say yeah, but no. At the same time, I personally think I am African American fiction, but
Okay.
there's such a wide variety of storylines. So I want to say yeah, I'm African American fiction, but look at how much I can do under that heading.
Right.
So yeah and no.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. So do you have any other services that you provide besides just your books?
Yes. I am a literary consultant, also known as a book coach for everybody that know me. As well as I create book covers for anybody's book. It doesn't matter what genre you're in. I love creating book covers because in my brain it kind of pulls everything together. So
Uh-huh.
those are the main two things that I do.
Okay. And do you have any upcoming projects? Because for those who have read Sugar and for those who are seeking to read, I mean, Encore and seeking to read Encore, what do you have coming up? We want to know what's the next book? What's the next story? When can we?
Okay. So a couple of years ago, I released a book called "What You Won't Do for Love" under Unique Creations Publications, and it needs a spinoff. And so
Okay.
that's what I'm doing now. And of course, we're dealing with the killer side of sugar. So the title of the book is "Amongst Gentlemen and Killers." Uh,
Okay.
so it's a spinoff to it. It's kind of following the same pattern as the first book, but it veers off to the left a little bit. So I'm working on that now. So get ready. Hopefully that'll be released before the end of the year.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. And where can people find you? How can they get in contact with you? Whether they want to feature you or hire you for book coaching, book cover design, how do they get in contact?
I'm gonna be honest, Facebook is gonna be your best friend with that. My given government name is Shalonda, Shalon, is in Nancy, D is in Delta A, Rawls, Rawls, just like the singer Lou Rawls. And it says author sugar in parentheses next to it. If you need anything from me, whether it's an interview, just to have a conversation, or if you need a book cover or book coaching, just shoot me a message there and I'll get back to you. It may take me a good 15 minutes, but I'm sure I'll get back to you within that hour. Um, I do have Instagram, but I don't use it much. So don't try to get on there. Don't try to get
Right.
on that. Facebook is gonna be your best out with that. Also, my email address is sugar of 85 at gmail.com. And if you shoot me an email, I'll be sure to shoot you one right back within the next 15 minutes up to an hour. But if you need me, reach out to me. I'll be glad to help.
Got it. Okay, so one last question before you leave
Sure.
for the audience and for the readers. If you could cast anyone for any particular character, it could be Cadence, it could be Lux, it could be Western or Eastern. Who would you cast for them and why?
Okay, so Cadence,
Uh-huh.
Lori Harvey.
I got Lori. I can see Lori.
Um, Renegade, of course, Terrence Howard.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah.
Um, because he has that mug where I mean, plus he played a pimp before.
He
So
did.
it
Yeah, it
it,
makes
it works for him.
it
Um,
does.
let's see. To be honest with you, I have no idea what Eastern or Western looks like in my head, so I can't give you them. But I definitely want Miss Richards to be Loretta Devine.
Okay. Okay,
I
that's
do.
good. That's a good one. That's a good. What about Judge Hobbs?
Okay, so. y'all gonna think I'm crazy, and you can definitely tell I was raised in the South. But there was a show called In the Heat of the Night,
Yeah.
and Bubba Skinner was this good-looking white guy that was a cop, and I could definitely see Bubba Skinner being Judge Hobbs. Now he has the mind of Chief Gillespie, but he got the body of Bubba Skinner.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, I get that. I get that. Okay, so listen, guys. Thank you first of all, Sugar, for coming on to do this book chat. And I just want to tell everybody out there, you have gotten a sneak peek into this book, but you have no idea. Okay, so you need to head on. Where can we purchase the book?
Um, Amazon.com. It's just Encore by Sugar, and there is paperback, there is audiobook, and there is Kindle copy, and it is a part of Kindle Unlimited for those of you who have that subscription.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, guys, so head on to Amazon. You can get it in paperback, Kindle, or audiobook. Shout out to Major Key Publishing for producing this masterpiece, guys. And make sure you leave Sugar a review. Okay? Leave a review. Thank you so much, Sugar, for hopping on. I appreciate you coming.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.